Leeds United made the most of their second chance in the European Cup against Stuttgart, the team they say has more foreign reserves than the Bank of England. Leeds won 2-1 in Barcelona in front of a tiny crowd. Their hero was Shutt. He scored the winner less than a minute after coming on as a substitute, and tomorrow's his birthday.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to episode 180 of the Talking Shutt podcast. Slightly different slot this week. We are live on a Thursday night instead of Wednesday, which is different for us. We normally do Wednesday.
Europa League Talking Shutt.
Yeah. International Europa League. What's it called now? That Conference League. That's it, Europa Conference League.
Oh, yeah.
Moved over to there. Obviously, I'm your host, Gaz, and I'm joined tonight by live from Rio de Janeiro Airport in the hunt for Raphinha. Mike, good evening, Mike. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, thanks. I'm very well, actually. Not bad at all.
Been getting tattooed this week, man, yeah?
Yeah, I had yesterday off. Good day to take off, actually. Got a tattoo in the morning and then, Leeds in the evening. Not bad at all.
Joined by a quite slightly rushed Raggy who's just walked in from work and straight on podcast because that's commitment for you. Good evening, Raggy.
That's what it's all about. Did you say it was 180?
180.
Episode 180. 180.
Did Ben get his soundbite?
I was gonna say. I thought we'd have to have a darts themed.
No, I didn't.
Talking
think
for
of
180.
I did think about it, but I thought I'll fuck it up, so I didn't bother. And obviously, I'm joined by Ben, who's been messing around with his microphone quite a bit. That's not a euphemism. That is the truth. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I've got it positioned well now. It's not hurting me because it was dug into my leg and it's not falling off. So we're doing all right.
This euphemism keeps going.
Yeah. I'm going to search for some darts videos I can put in.
We're obviously joined tonight live on YouTube and Facebook. If you're on any of them platforms watching live right now, as a few people are commenting in, please share it, tell other people to listen to it, all that type of stuff. That'd be great. And if you're on the old Facebook, make sure you go over to All Leeds Aren't We and join that Facebook community for Leeds United fans. Go and join that. Big thanks to Jay Patel for looking after us on there. So, lads, if I'd have said to you prior to yesterday's game down at Villa Park, a point, what would you have said back to me?
I'd have bit your hand off. I'd have definitely bit your hand off at 3-1 for a point as well. So, yeah. I think a point at Villa Park would have been, it's always going to be a good result. Given the outcome of the game as well. Good that we came away with that with something, because I think the performance bar the odd kind of 10-minute period, I think the performance very much deserved us to bring something away from it. So, yeah, absolutely.
I was driving back last night listening to a particular clickbait radio station who had Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy on, and they had quite a few Villa fans on after the game saying such things as, we battered them. Mm-hmm. I didn't really see it like that. I don't know if I've been my Leeds United roasting to glasses on, but other than Coutinho and Buendia, I don't see really how they battered us. They didn't really dominate.
They scored 3 good goals
for a period of times. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they did. The
stats, the stats don't back that up. I think we had like 63% possession. We had more shots and stuff like that. Yeah, they scored 3 good goals. I described them as like the two Jalen Ramsey, is it?
Yeah.
The 2 Ramsey goals are like 2 eras of Steven Gerrard. There's the Steven Gerrard pass that's played through to him. But there's also the run that Ramsey makes. It's very Steven Gerrard, like early Steven Gerrard. And I thought they were very, very similar to that.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, lads, when Dan James scored inside 10 minutes, in fact, let's go back even further than that. When we saw the team unchanged from the Newcastle game, when we toiled and laboured to score past Newcastle. Also, shout out Eddie Howe, you lying piece of shit. who turned around after they won the other day and went, "Yeah, it was good to build on an excellent performance against Leeds. Get in the fucking bin, How? In the bin now. Get in the bin." Anyway, how did you feel about the unchanged side? There's been much said about Joffy and Rodrigo, but Marcelo chose to stick with it exactly. Left Forshaw on the bench, played Cock in the holding, not related to Ben's microphone. And then we saw Dan James start again up front. What did you think before the game, Ben, about Dan James starting up front?
I were expecting at least maybe Joffy or Rodrigo up front. I think the main one was Forshaw. I think with Forshaw coming back, I thought, all right, Villa are a decent sort of mid-table side. We need Forshaw in there to. I think we missed him against Newcastle, didn't we? Just to sort of control the midfield. And maybe the game's a bit different if he does start. Because obviously we lost the 3 goals from the 2 goals at least from midfield. But yeah, I think that I was more worried that Forshaw didn't start than anyone else. I think James has played well in what he's done sort of in the last few games for us. But yeah, he's obviously his scoring were an issue.
Rags, I saw you wanted to come in. What's your thoughts, mate?
I saw the team news and I thought, brilliant, proper centre forward, starting as a centre forward, and he just proved us right, didn't he? So just scrap anything we said 2 weeks ago. That didn't happen. No, I must admit, the whole Dan James thing. When I saw it, I wasn't surprised, to be perfectly honest. I know we'd banged on about it, but it didn't surprise me. Slightly more surprised about the midfield with the Click and Rodrigo partnership, because we've seen it work well, but then we've seen it also be absolutely decimated by a good midfield. And you looked at what Villa had in midfield and you thought, ooh, that's dangerous. But I think the way we started the game, not just started the game, bar that 15 minutes where they scored the 3 goals. Other than that, I thought everything was absolutely spot on. I thought Dan James played a very good role as a centre forward. I thought Rodrigo probably had his best game, arguably his best game in the Leeds shirt. I thought it worked really well with him and Click. And yeah, to be perfectly honest, I don't think they're really at fault for any of the goals either. It's more to do with some individual errors from other players. So it's not like we got overrun in those positions anyway. So it was completely justified and completely vindicated. But not surprising that Marcelo sticks with what we were kind of berating him for 2 weeks ago, stuck with it, and it worked this time.
Well, it just goes on to serve and prove that we know nothing about football. Yeah. But I think, the old adage in football, you can only take people on their last performance. And based on Dan James's performance last night, he starts again up front on Saturday in the 9. He did absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, I was in the away end, and there was a little bit of murmurings, even after he'd scored and hit the bar, that we should take him off and bring Joffrey on. And a lad stood near me, rightly so, challenged a couple of people on that and said, "What more do you want him to do? Like he's scored one. He's hit bar. He's been involved in everything. He's harried and pressed and made Mings look even worse than he already is. Like, you can't ask any more from that. So fair play to him. On his first goal, good work by Rodrigo to put him in, and he takes it early, goes across Emi Martinez and finds the corner. And I think if I was to describe the scenes in the away end, bedlam would be the choice phrase. When we're still picking bodies up off the floor at 1-0. But at that point, then you look 10 minutes in and think, because if you remember, Villa nearly scored with the first corner of the game when Melia bails us out, and then you see us score and you think that might have just knocked wind out of them a little bit, hopefully, and we can kind of get on top. And then we break away again, Dan James again, pressing, wins the ball, hits the bar, and you think, we're in business here. We're in business. We'll be all right. And then, obviously, with the Coutinho one, when I watched it, because it was down in front of us, initially I thought, he's got a little bit lucky there because it's kind of fell back to him. I thought he kind of took a deflection. But you know what? You look back at it and go, it was an excellent cutback. And that's
it was good movement, wasn't it?
120 million.
Good cutback and good movement, yeah. It's just a good player's goal.
Yeah, you can't give him that much space. But like you say, he creates that space for himself. And I think we're a bit sloppy from a throw-in for it to allow that to happen. But other than that, it was a bit too easy, I would say, defensively from us. I think we need to be a bit more turned on to it. But like you say, it's good movement. And I mean, he knows exactly where the goal is. He's just swiveled on it, and it's a great finish, and you expect it from a player of that quality.
And the thing is, as well, just to talk about Coutinho, that's the first time I've seen him sort of live and in the flesh, and what a player. Yes, his hamstrings are made of cheese strings, but what a player. And there's much said about it. I think Kaelin had a great game last night, if I'm honest. In possession a couple of times, he certainly ran the gauntlet, but he did some good things as well. And I don't think it's a massive judgment that Coutinho gave him the runaround, because when he's in form like that, that's why Barcelona paid 120 million euros for him when they signed him. Who just Buendia, I thought were excellent, to be honest, from what I saw.
Do you think that even in the second half though, guys? Because I mean, I know we dominated possession second half, but I mean, he disappeared. Absolutely disappeared second half, in my opinion. Watching on TV,
I turned to someone in about 20 minutes in and said, the test for Villa tonight is if they can maintain this, because they were chasing us and stuff. And I think ultimately, second half, they just couldn't last the pace. And I think that's why, even before we scored our equaliser, we saw them trying to slow the game down at every opportunity, feigning cramp, taking time over throw-ins. And they were all around them trying to get their breath back because they were struggling. And then ultimately, Buendia goes off with a muscle injury and Coutinho follows not so long after that. I just think they just couldn't last the pace, which is, Leeds, isn't it? Gerrard commented on it in his post-match saying, it was like a basketball game, and we didn't want to get into that. He touched on the fact that he didn't want his team to try and match Leeds, and they did. And ultimately, I think that as much as watching it, I kind of blinked and we were 3-1 down, and I remember thinking, I'm not actually too sure, because on the basis of play, they haven't been they haven't been worth 3 goals for me. The 2 are excellent goals. And credit Click as well for not getting sent off, because when he's chasing him back, he could have easily just took a swipe at his legs, but he managed to stand up, get in front of him. And you can't comment on that. But I think when the goal went in from Dan James, it was down the other end of the pitch to us. So I never saw like sort of the goal in itself in its purest form. But I said to my lad at time, I said that makes game totally different now. If they go in at 3-1, they come out second half, they try and slow it down like they tried to. But at 3-2, it makes it a slightly different game. And I think at halftime, I was talking to some lads around me, and I said the only change I would have made was Koch for Forshaw. Not because I felt like Koch were doing anything more, but Forshaw's just got a bit more of that midfielder's mind when he knows to slow it down and he knows when to speed it up. And what I noticed last night as well, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, is the thing that Koch doesn't do that Forshaw and Phillips do is come and take it off the centre half. He very rarely comes and takes it off the centre half, Koch. And if he does, he pops it back into the centre half, because it's just not his game. So that's the only change I would have made. And then, like, I thought second half, we were superb. They came off the gas a little bit. We were a bit more sensible. We didn't make it. We didn't try and be end to end all the time. We did slow it down at times and recycle possession and move them around and just tire them out. And I thought we were every bit worth the equaliser from Llorente, and probably more, to be honest. It's one of them games where I come away and gone, do you know what, 3 apiece, I'll take that draw. But I don't think there'd have been an argument for Leeds to win that 4-3, to be honest. I think that there'd have been an argument if Villa had won it 4-3 based on their second half performance, because I didn't really see anything second half from them that made you go, yeah, all right, they should have won.
That's it. I mean, that, like I say, 15 minutes that they scored 3, once that sort of gets to that position, you're thinking a draw's a good result, but to then come away of it and think, oh, we could have maybe won that.
Yeah.
It sort of says a lot for how we play, innit?
I mean, that Dan James one that hits the bar, I mean, that's crucial. That goes in 2-0. There's no way they get the 3 goals that they score. There's just no way. It just doesn't work like that. But as it stands, that hits the bar, and then 2 minutes later, it's 1-1. Yeah. It's a completely, the game was mental. My mate, who's a Wolves fan, texted me going, "This is a right game." I went, "Yeah, maybe as a neutral. I would have loved to watch that game as a neutral. I would have absolutely. I mean, it was crazy enough as it was being a Leeds fan. As a neutral, you absolutely love that. You look at that and you go, "There's no way I want ever Leeds to go down," because when they can produce, moments like this, not just isolated moments. This is kind of not week in, week out, but it's pretty frequent that we'll get involved in a game like this. So as a neutral, that must be absolutely amazing. It's horrendous for us at
And
times.
I think maybe a bit of credit to Villa in that as well, that they took that on as well. They wanted to play that kind of game up until a point. And there was a bit on my way home from my mum's on Radio Leeds. I think it was Neil Redfern that was on Radio Leeds last night. And he said it was weird because there was like 5 minutes in the second half where both teams just sort of went, let's just chill out for a bit. But then they went at it again. It was like, I just had a little ceasefire and then thought, go on, let's go again.
Yeah,
and it was like, I guess in a way, a bit like a boxing match, wasn't it? That, all right, they had a little breather and then it's like, well, I'm going to take you on again. And then both going at it like that. That's what you want to see from football.
They pretty much did the equivalent, Ben. It's a good analogy, boxing, where they both just stood in middle of the ring, toe to toe, and went, right, you try and knock me out, I'm going to try and knock you out. Let's see who falls over first. It was that kind of thing. And I do honestly think that Villa just ran out of steam towards the end of the game.
And kind of, I guess going to a bit more in a bit, but lost their heads.
Yeah, they did lose their head, but I also think, and this will be an interesting thing for Villa, in my opinion, that Coutinho was that good first half that they will become reliant on him. And it felt like an audible atmosphere switch in the ground. Saying that, I don't know if I thought Villa's atmosphere were poor. I love that ground. It's a proper old school ground. You're right on top of it. Yeah. But I didn't really hear them, to be honest, apart from about in the 94th minute, they fired into life for a little bit. But other than that, other than when they scored, I didn't really hear anything from them, to be honest. But I think when Coutinho came off, they lost Buendia first and Coutinho. It felt to me like shoulders sagged ever so slightly, like they hadn't got an outlet anymore. They hadn't got that moment of magic from Coutinho. And you look second half, you think, I don't remember Meslier, apart from coming and taking a few punches and getting elbowed at face by Conser. I don't really remember him doing a massive amount second half.
Yeah. There was that weak header back from Ayling that he has to dive and Watkins nearly gets in. He was really on his toes for that one. But yeah, he's not really made any saves, has he? I think there was a really weak shot from Mings when we had a few players down. Noticed that a lot against Villa.
Yeah, they weren't kicking out.
Weren't kicking out when players went down, did they?
Mate, I'll tell you what else I noticed.
A few short memories in that squad.
Which I would have been very disappointed, but it ties into the rhetoric that we were talking about a minute ago. It's embarrassing for a home team who to keep going down, feigning injury or taking like even when they got 11 men on pitch. I wouldn't want to see Leeds doing that. I know we're in a blessed position where we've got Bielsa and he doesn't encourage that type of thing, but I wouldn't want to see home team just rolling over and crying and just carrying on like that. It's a bit shit for me, I think. But Rodrigo, I want to talk about Rodrigo. He's coming for much as Peltas, and some of it's been warranted. I must admit. But again, I've seen him a couple of times. Obviously, you guys have seen him same at Ellen Road. But I was quite lucky last night that I was high up, so I got a bit of a bird's eye view-ish of it. And off the ball, the work rate he gets through is phenomenal. No wonder he always looks like he's about to shit a lung towards the end of the game. He literally, the work he does between the lines, between the defence and the midfield, just offering up passes all the time. And I think some of that goes a little bit unrecognised from him.
It does. Yeah. Do you know why it goes unrecognised? And I noticed this last night. Because we're a team that we sprint around everywhere. But Rodrigo doesn't as such. He moves around and looks for spaces and moves into spaces. But I bet maybe I'm wrong, but I bet his sprint actions are up there with everyone else. But it doesn't always have to be, does it?
No. I agree.
No. And the other thing I will say on Rodrigo,
go on.
It's his second game in a row.
Yeah.
When was the last time he played a row of games like that?
Well,
and that's what players need.
Yeah. He created 5 chances as well. So, like you say, Ben, the sprinting doesn't need to be there. You can be it's like the Pablo role, wasn't it, towards the end of last season, where it's like, just get into the space. I don't care where you go.
I think if you look at it, I watched the highlights back this morning with my cup of tea. And everybody was waxing lyrical about Coutinho. He basically set up all their goals and scored.
You could see that coming though from before the game. It was going to be the Coutinho show, wasn't it?
But Rodrigo assisted James for the first goal. He were involved in the second, and then there was
That's
one
an
part
assist for me.
Yeah, and then one part of the game a bit later on, he got the ball at the edge and he put a disguised pass into Click and then Click hit the defender. You know, it's little things like that probably go unnoticed a little bit. And I just thought that, like Ben says, the 2 games on trot now, and I thought he's played well. And if he can get a run of games together, you know, I think he can make that position his own if he wants to. Yes, he needs a bit more creativity at times, and he needs a few more goals probably in his game. But I couldn't think he could have done much more last night, if I'm honest.
Well, at the end of the day, he also had to do Raf's running for him as well yesterday as well.
Yeah.
So you've got that workload added to his own as well.
Yeah. Raf, then let's talk about Raf. He's allowed an off day, isn't he?
He's got plenty of credit in the bank. He is allowed an off day, but that was definitely an off day.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he tried to do a Cruyff turn on edge of our area, we're a bit when I was like, okay, let's take him off now. Yeah, let's take him off now.
I said that. Yeah. I said to Becca, we watched it together. I said I'd have him off. She went, "What is it?" I went, "I'd take it. I would pull him right now because he's not done anything going forward, and he's now a liability. He's now a liability. Well, he gave the ball away for the 3rd goal as well. I mean, and then he's doing that on your own edge of your own area.
Yeah. But then towards the end of the game, he did that one moment again where you go, that's why he stays on pitch.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, that's exactly why you sort of don't take him off in it.
Yeah,
It's just one of them that
he did cut a frustrated figure, and I know when the game finished, he gave a little round of applause to fans, and then was straight down tunnel behind Rodrigo. So I think he was frustrated at his own performance, to be fair. And you know, give a bit of credit to Luca Digne, who's a shithead, but he did a reasonably good job on Raf. Whenever Raf got ball, he was very tight to him, made it hard for him. But you know,
well, he covered Rodrigo when he came in for that header as well.
He did that
header that was on the far post, and you think, "Fucking hell, where's Luca Digne come from there?" But the guy can obviously read the game, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What did the away fans look like on telly? I've just got a comment on this, to be honest.
They're all vloggers. It's another stadium full of vloggers, mate. That's why they were quiet. So they're all, got the phones out.
What about the away fans? What about the Leeds fans? What they look like on telly?
Because the cameras are at the side where the Leeds fans were, you don't see them.
Yeah.
Because the cameras are on.
You could hear them.
Yeah, you could definitely hear them
all the way through. Yeah.
I've got to say, I've been away a few times now with Judd, but he's never really been in the mental part of the stadium, and we just happened to be in the mental part last night. But what always endears me to Leeds fans is there were like a load of the old boys who obviously have been going away for years, coming in, shaking Judd's hand just because he happens to be stood there. Never met these people before in his life, shaking his hand. All right, young'un, enjoy a game, blah, blah, blah. And then when all goals go in, absolute bedlam. But everybody's still picking each other up and stopping anybody getting properly injured and all that type of stuff. Picking up strangers and trying to throw them over your shoulder and all that sort of crazy shit. It was just class in away in last night. I really, really enjoyed it. It's right up there, one of my favourite away days, to be honest. Proper old school stadium where you're quite close to the pitch, and it was just good. It
gets really loud there as well, doesn't it? Because of that, the old school sort of thing.
Even the like really tight corridor you have to walk up to get to the upper tier. Yeah. Can only just fit 2 people on stairs. It's absolutely tiny, but top class. Any more points on last night's game against Villa? Ultimately, I said before, 4 points in the next 2 games. I'm more than happy.
Yeah. Did I hear it right after Ezri Konsa got sent off? Were the Villa fans singing "You don't know what you're doing" to the referee?
Yes.
Yeah. Jonah Fitz, the referee, I think. Yeah.
And said that Konsa tripped and touched him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love the lack of self-awareness of Villa players, man. Like he literally elbows Meslier. Well, all of them, to be fair, but the players especially, because they'll elbow a player in the head in broad daylight and then go, "What, me?" You know, like it's just. But you know, we should expect it by now.
There's an argument with that. It's a straight red. He gets a second yellow. An argument's a straight red.
Referees helped him out there by giving him a second.
If you're going to barge into a keeper, at least keep your arms down and sort of give a bit of a shoulder. He's literally gone arm up and elbow in the face. It was clear as day.
Yeah, there was something else. But during the game as well, I liked. Did Daniel James say no to getting subbed off?
Right.
So what happened there?
Apparently,
I like that.
apparently went in at half time and said that his hamstring were tight. So Bielsa were going to take him off. And obviously on a hat trick, he went, no, I don't want to come off.
And it's not to dig out Tyler Roberts again, but it's all Tyler Roberts are going to come on and he's like, no, fuck off.
That back on. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like, not for him. No. I'll come off for Gillard, but not him.
Yeah, brutal.
You want to see, like, I mean, joking aside, that sort of commitment and no, I'm fine. If he's injured, it's probably best that he goes off for the team. But if he's feeling all right and wanting to carry on, that's the kind of desire and sort of effort you want to see, isn't it?
What was quite funny is me and Judd had realised we parked behind enemy lines, so walking back to the car with all Villa fans and hearing some of the comments from them were pretty funny. Can't believe we've just made Dan James look like a fucking world beater, was one of the comments I heard. And then the other comment was, I'd fucking find that cunt 2 weeks' wages. And I'm thinking, oh, I wonder what this will be. Tyrone Mings, he fucking shit. And I was like, I agree. I'm like patting him on the shoulder going,
have they just realised that?
Yeah,
they've hated him for a while. There was a point where he just booted the ball out for a throw-in under like no real pressure, and he got
that's all he does.
Applause for it.
Wow.
Oh, I guess from watching our plan was let him have the ball. And let him run into our area. We'll give it, and it never quite worked. But I saw the plan as we'd just take the ball off him and then just break, and then they've got no defenders.
Yeah. In other news then, the Embryos played on Monday night against Liverpool under-23s Embryos, and we did actually field a full-on embryo in Archie Gray. I know Leeds have kind of tried to keep it under the radar a little bit about Archie Gray, but I sat there on Monday night and thought, are you sure you're 15? Because...
he's 16 now.
Oh, is he 16 now?
He's 16 now.
But still, the point stays. To play like he did against Liverpool, and just the way he goes about the game, the kid's potentially got a phenomenal career. Phenomenal. To be 16 and like that. He's just a natural footballer. He's so good. 2-footed, drifts into clever spaces. He's strong. He can put a tackle in. Like, based on that showing, I was like, he's...
Well, we talked about it Monday night, didn't we, guys? And I said to you, I asked, obviously knowing how old Judd is, Judd's 12, isn't he? And you compare 16 and 12, and 16 and 12 as a young lad, there's quite a big difference in growing up and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But then you think it's only 4 years.
Yeah.
And the difference that you've got a lad at that age who's going to be, at least, he's probably going to be at least once play Premier League football this year. And it's just mental, isn't it?
After watching the game, I genuinely thought I'm going to seek out a bookmaker and say, how much would you give me for Archie Gray to beat James Milner's record in playing in Premier League before? Well, James Milner's 16 and something like 217 days or something.
Yeah.
Something like that, along them lines.
I will double check that.
Have a little look, but I think that's a pretty decent bet. For me, to be honest. Injuries maybe, but wow, talent, some talent that way.
16 years and 309.
All right, 309. So he's got a bit. So what? He's just turned 16. So he's basically got 309 days, 308 days to get a Premier League appearance and beat James Milner's record.
Yeah,
and I think he could.
Has James Milner still got the record though? I think
Aaron Lennon. Aaron
Lennon
beat him at Spurs. Yeah. When he came on for Leeds against Spurs. That were in the Christmas quiz, Raggy. Well remembered. Other news in 23s, outstanding mentions from my point of view. Mike, you were there as well, so chip in.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Mullen at centre-back. That kid's a player as well. Very, very good. Not your typical centre-half. Like him and Charlie Creswell are a bit yin and yang. Charlie Creswell's big, physical. Jeremiah Mullen's not, but he's technically very good.
He's the more of the outball, isn't he?
And then Crescencio Somerville can't sniff at his performance Monday night.
I mean, he is playing at he's a level above under 23s. I think that's clear to see.
I think the interesting thing about Crescencio Somerville is I was a little bit unsure about his body language when he first came out, but you can read too much into that type of thing. But on my way down to Villa yesterday, I was listening to the official Leeds podcast with Jack Harrison on, and he kind of talked about Crescencio Somerville off the park a little bit, but he didn't give too much away. So I don't know. Do we think we see Crescencio Somerville around first team again.
He's a winger, and we've got too many. We've got 3 wingers, haven't we? It's it's not.
Well, it looks it looks like Stuart McKinstry's in front of him.
Really?
So he were on the bench last night, and Crescencio Somerville were in the 23s. So you've got to say that he's sneaked in front of him a bit. So we'll have to wait.
I was surprised at how poor Liverpool's under 23s were, considering it's Liverpool. Do they not invest in their?
No, they do. They had a couple of bright sparks. The kid Morton, who's played first team football, he was tidy at middle at Park, and then they had the big lad, the number 10.
Oh, number 10, he was a unit. He just picked it up and
quite physical.
ran through, didn't he?
Yeah.
Every time.
I have breaking bad news.
Go.
Aaron Lennon's been beaten several times, by the way.
For Leeds?
And no, not for Leeds. I'm talking about the Premier League.
I was just double checking this as well.
Do you know who the current holder is?
Hold on.
At 16 years and 30 days.
Phil Foden.
Phil Foden.
No.
Hold on.
This player is quite topical. He's not played for Leeds United, but he is associated.
Was it this season? Did he make the appearance this season?
He's not played for Leeds United, but he
has played against Leeds United this season.
Elliot Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey Elliott. Yeah, we killed him.
Elliot Harvey. Yeah, fucking Harvey Elliott.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Good to see him back from the dead this week.
Yeah.
It was that game, wasn't it? Was it?
Good. No, Cardiff. He played against Cardiff. On weekend. Good of Jurgen Klopp to talk about that he's been reincarnated. Because he said, when we lost him at Leeds, he's not dead, Jurgen, not dead. Legs on backwards. That's it. I quite enjoyed it.
His career could have been over. He's not even lost a season. Half a season. Bamford played less.
The other consistent thing about the 23s game as well is the ref were fucking appalling.
Oh, yeah, he was dire. It was too big for him. Yeah. No, to be fair to Harvey Elliott, I think he's handled it really well. It's just people around him, like Jurgen Klopp and the fans, that have just made it into this big thing, and it's like actually the player himself has been sound. But yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Let's get some comments before we move on to other stuff. Addy Chapman says, good evening, gents. John Smith says, evening, fellas. Gordon White, evening, fellas. Jonathan Kravitz, no relation to Lenny, says, hello all. Paul Crook says, hi, lads. Isham says, it could have been closer to 200 if there was no 99.1 to 99.9 when we're talking about the podcast number. Yeah, we would have been probably above 200. John Smith says, good to see you last night, guys. Was a tasty night last night. Gutted to not come away with the win, especially when we were 3-1 down. And Johnny Brown says he's got us on a 65-inch 4K picture in his brown hole.
Do it to yourself.
In his brown hole, which is the name for his bar, obviously. Jason Taylor, evening, gents. Gordon White says we had 63% possession and twice as many shots. So there you go. Johnny Brown says we'll do Fat Frank on Saturday, which we'll talk about in a little bit. 3-1 Leeds. Raggy, get on it. Jason Taylor says there were a big gaping hole. A big gaping hole. Ira Stancliffe says, hola from Idaho, USA. Wow. Good evening.
Yeehaw.
Isham says, do you guys think we should have freshened the front line a bit when they went down to 10 men?
It's a bit too late by that point.
No, a bit late for them, I think. Yeah. Luke Holroyd gives us a wave out. Luke, hope you're well, mate. Jim Ogden, the legend that is, says 400k a week for a player. That's unbelievable for one half of a game. Yeah, you've got to. A few other comments coming in. Let's get Sandy Duncan says Archie, as in Archie Gray, reminds him of Gary Speed at a time. That's some high plaudits. And Steve says when Coops is back fit, surely he has to start from the bench. Possibly that 4 week.
Why would you drop Pascal Struijk?
You won't. And you can't.
You wouldn't. Exactly.
Everyone's raved about. He's been brilliant since he's come back in.
Yeah. This is the thing with Cooper, isn't it? Like we were saying, probably from the start of last season, it's like this is the phase out time, and I think the injuries just come at a time where, it's like it's kind of solved that problem for us. You know what I mean? It's like,
I agree.
Yeah, you are phased out now.
Yeah. Before we start talking about toffees, then, let's hear from one of our sponsors, the guys at The Terrace, bringing you the very best in retro kit culture. Mike, Terrace,
Good
Mike,
evening.
you're all three go. What's going down at the Terrace at the moment?
Good stuff. Well, we've just started releasing really cool sort of like soft shell jackets for away days, waterproof. You know, we call them Explorer jackets. They've got like really cool coordinates of your team's stadium down the shoulder, Terrace logo on the crest, and there's also we've just released limited edition satchel bags as well, which are sort of, what is it on leather? Engraved? It's not engraved on leather, is it? But
embossed.
yeah,
Embossed.
Embroidered.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's like sort of heat printed on, but
Embossed.
not embossed. Yeah, and there's only 25 of them going to be made. Yeah, and each of them is numbered as well. So that's been released today. And what I've been working on is just designing more and more kit mugs. Doing some requester kits. Did a Calvin Phillips one today with the 1920 promotion season kit on, and also one with no wheel and one for the older generation. But yeah, the kit mugs classy as ever. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? It's just we carry so much stuff now, and it's getting more and more every day now. Yeah, just I mean, all you got to do is type in Leeds at theterracestore.com, and you know you're literally in Leeds merch heaven, and it's all cheaper than your actual official stuff, I suppose. Even the licensed stuff we carry, it's all about keeping the prices, keeping the costs down, and making it affordable.
Yeah, so go check them out, terracestore.com.
Moving on, new swimming shorts as well, inspired by the
of course,
away,
yeah. I bloody
the 92,
did the
93 ways.
Yeah, I bloody designed them. I did the files and everything for them. Sorry, yeah, the swimming shorts as well. You can pre-order those in time for summer or your holidays. Cool. Yeah, the yellow and blue Admiral print. Yeah. Cheers for that, Raggy.
No, they look good. They look good. I seen the email earlier in the week. I was like, I wondered if you were behind them because they look smart. Then.
Yeah. Do they do flip flops?
No, we haven't done flip flops yet.
Request a flip flop.
You've got 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Yeah. I'm going on holiday in 6 weeks. I need some flip flops.
Yeah, I'll message.
If anybody can furnish our Ben with some flip flops, let us know.
Well, I know I can get some flip flops, but I want some terrace flip flops.
Yeah,
nice,
good man. We are seasonal, so like beach towels and all that stuff will come back in. We kind of rotate everything seasonally. So,
well, me, it's holiday season.
Yeah,
every season's holiday season
around. Yeah, I'm the same.
Whenever you can.
Before we move on to this Everton game, Gordon White's just said, there was someone stood behind you, Gary, doing a crowd feature. I hope he had a big lens because I've got a right size head. So, if you've got that, Gordon, send it on. I won't mind having a little look at the back of my head. Moving on then, this coming weekend, Fat Frank's Everton side, who rather hilariously beat Brentford in the FA Cup final and then rolled over and had the bellies tickled by Newcastle United. And all of a sudden now... maybe Fat Frank's not the second coming of Howard Kendall. Apparently, Dele Alli played of the day and was woeful. Donny van de Beek has swapped benches from Old Trafford to Goodison.
I saw a bit of that game, and Dele Alli came on and made them worse. He literally just walked around and gave the ball away.
It's not a good look, is it?
I can see why Bielsa said no. Maybe less so on Donny van de Beek, but Dele Alli.
Van de Beek didn't do much either, to be honest. When he sort of ran around the Everton half with the ball and then played an easy pass.
Yeah, I think the thing with him is like he's got potential in the future, whereas Dele Alli's like we've seen him for so long and he's just not done.
Yeah, but the thing is, mate, Van de Beek will be living his potential back up at Ajax because he ain't going back to the Scummers, and Everton are not signing him on 250 grand a week, 300 grand a week. What he's on
in the Championship?
In the Championship, yeah. So, I mean, it'd have been good to get Pope on tonight, obviously being an Evertonian and all that type of stuff. But when I spoke to a few Evertonians before the transfer window, they were desperate for some centre-back reinforcements because Yerry Mina is their best centre-back. And they didn't do that.
He got injured, I think, the other day.
He did, mate. He did, yeah. And now I'm looking at it thinking, all right, they signed Ali and Van de Beek, but there doesn't appear to be much thought behind that. It appears to be one of them that we've got Lampard, so we need to give him some signings and big name ones. So we'll get these two.
Yeah. Oh no, they do. The kid wiring up my brother's house is an Everton fan. He's going to the game.
Yeah.
And he's saying like centre backs. Michael Keane, can't stand him whatsoever. He's like a Tyrone Mings. He's just absolutely dire. But I thought, they've tried to get some reinforcements in. Maybe it'll work for him. Clearly, it hasn't. And I think Ben was right. I think it's about time Frank gets found out once and for all. We love being proved right, don't we? We always arrive at the conclusion like 2 years before the media does. But yeah,
based on. Go on, Ben.
Just looking at Everton, and they've won one game since the end of September.
Well, how many points? I think they've picked up 6 points from like 42 or something.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah,
3 draws and a win.
Yeah, it's
and what annoys me is everyone seems to be ignoring it, like Sky and all that.
I was going to mention this. It was absolutely hilarious last night on BT Sport after the game, and I didn't really want to watch because I didn't want to fucking listen to Rio Ferdinand any more than I have to.
Yeah.
So I weren't going to do that. But what they were talking about was, I think it was Jake Humphrey doing the thing, and he had the table up, and he was talking about, because obviously Norwich had got a point, and obviously we'd got a point, and he was like, and it mixes it up with at the bottom of the table in terms of relegation, and he was talking about us in that frame of mind. And then he went, and you've got to say now, Everton are potentially going to get pulled into it. And you're thinking, we're 4 points ahead of Everton. You're talking about us as relegation candidates and then saying they might get dragged into it. We're 4 points ahead of Everton at this stage.
Yeah.
They're well and truly in it. Like, when you just said September then, Ben, I thought, you must have got that wrong. You must have meant like December or something like that. That is right, isn't it? So I've just looked at the things. That is unbelievably shocking.
Mate, it's the usual thing, though. It's usual
and
media.
And brought in that fraud as well to get rid of it.
Yeah, he ain't saving them. No,
I mean, just going back to the Newcastle Everton game on Tuesday, it was an awful game. Neither team were that good. And if Everton are worse than Newcastle, and Newcastle have been bad this season, all right, they've got St. Maximin that sort of gets them out of sort of a bit of trouble and stuff like that, but the whole Everton were just awful, and you don't. I mean, it could come back to bite us on the arse, but
it will.
But we've already lost
what
Newcastle.
you've seen.
It will do. We're Leeds. That's what happens. It'll come back.
But can you imagine if we lost 3-1? You know how bad it was when we lost 1-0 to them.
Well, that's
imagine
it.
It's 3-1. God.
Yeah, but we're here to talk about it. And losing to Newcastle, we probably shouldn't have lost to Newcastle. It happened, and we've had that before. Well, if we go on now and beat Everton, I reckon that's us pretty much. I mean, like I say, 7 points would be the difference. And then we've got 2 games in hand over Brentford as well.
And they're in a bit of bother, aren't they?
Yeah. Probably very similar form to Everton.
Exactly. In terms of form.
Seriously going wrong.
No winning 5 in it for Brentford. No winning 5.
6 defeats on the bounce, including the cup. 5 Premier League and 1 FA Cup defeats on the bounce for Brentford.
Yeah.
So they're in free fall.
There you go.
I must. When they appointed, I laughed. I really did, because, like you say, I really did, because I thought, obviously, when the Benitez thing was obviously coming, you could see that a mile off. It was clearly never going to work. But they've got talent in that. They have got some talent in that squad, and you think that if you get the person in there, they might be able to do something. He's not going to do it. Lampard.
That's a brilliant comment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the fact that the fans wanted him as well. They were like, "Oh yeah, Frank's the one." Frank Lampard's one.
Because it's all built on this.
The rhetoric
on the
media
perception, isn't it? Yeah,
the rhetoric created by the media
has done nothing as a manager. Yeah. I mean,
it's like
you could account
as well. Like, you'd have thought he'd won 5 games on the bounce. You know what I mean? the way they were
I
going
think
on.
Gerrard did well at Rangers, and granted it's
Yeah.
a 2-horse race up there, but he got Rangers playing really well. If you look at, I watched the Celtic Rangers game last week, and the Rangers look a mess now, going on that one game. But anyway, back to Lampard. He failed at Derby, and all he's got at Derby is that one game against us, which we lost.
Yeah. He didn't win. Yeah,
we lost the Zeds. So all right, they had to go and score them goals to win, but still that game, were it 4-3 in end or something like that?
Yeah.
Only because we
4-2, weren't it?
Literally fell apart.
4-2 on the night.
4-2. 4-2 on the night.
We did a Kiko, didn't we? That's what we did. That's the phrase for it. We did a Kiko.
And it's the same
and
thing
then
with Brentford.
He failed in the playoff final. You look at the state of Derby now, and he's got a part in that because they paid a lot of money for Tomori and Mount and other players that they bought. Granted, someone has to sanction that with Mel Morris, but he's left a mess there.
Yeah, but he's the one who turns around and goes, "Oh, I didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't know about that." Of course you did. You know what I mean? You don't just sign all these players and go, "Oh yeah, great."
It goes to Chelsea, assembles, all right, for half of it, he couldn't buy anyone, but still had one of the best sort of youth systems in the Premier League to sort of count the players that he could play, Abraham, all them, Hudson-Odoi, all that sort of them players. They're getting any team in the Premier League. And failed at that.
Yeah.
And now he's gone to Everton, which is just a poison chalice. And
and then they allowed him to
eat my
spend
words at the weekend.
Well, then they allowed him to spend a lot of money at Everton, at Chelsea, and he did even worse with that play. Got sacked, and look what Tuchel's come in there and done with those exact same players.
Yeah.
You know, he's won the fucking Champions League with them.
Yeah.
You know, the man's a fraud. Like, you know, he might go on and improve as a manager, and you know, and he might win some stuff. But right now, he's got absolutely nothing. He's got nothing.
If he doesn't,
that Everton should turn around to him and give him the job of keeping them up, which is what that job at Everton is all about right now this season. He's got to try and keep them up, and they've got no reason to give him that job. They really haven't.
Yeah,
and going on the one Premier League game that he's had, I can't see that happening. As it stands, as of today, 10th of February, if they continue like that, they're down.
Yeah.
And anyway, and that's saying a lot, considering where Norwich, Watford, Newcastle were. If they get dragged into that fully, that they deserve to go down.
Yeah, agreed. Anyway, let's get them locked in, them predictors with this.
Raggy's predictor.
The return of Raggy's predictor. He's back.
The return. I've had to. I dusted off the old spreadsheet. I had to blow all the cobwebs off it. Obviously, there's a large gap on my hiatus, so we're just ignoring all those games. They didn't actually happen. So we all went for a Leeds United victory at Villa Park, apart from me, who did say a draw. Now, I didn't say 3-3. I didn't think it would be that thing. I only picked up a point because I said 1-1. So adding that to the previous things before I went off leaves Gary on 8, Ben on 10, Mike on 13, and now me on 14.
Gary thought he was ahead there.
No, mate. I'm doing what Frank Lampard does and celebrating mediocrity.
Yeah.
So obviously we've got the Everton game. We've all waxed lyrical about how shit Frank Lampard is. So
1-0 Everton.
Like you say, let's put our money where our mouth is now. We'll start with you, Gaz, seeing as you're losing. You can start us off.
Thanks for reinforcing that.
It's all right. I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware Gary is losing.
Last.
Yes.
Do you know what? Based upon, even against Newcastle, for 85 minutes, we put in good performances. Last night, we showed that we don't just roll over and die. We fight through. And I think slowly but surely, the performances have started to appear. I'm going for a victory, a Leeds 3-1 victory.
Ben.
3-0 Leeds.
Nice, Ben. Nice.
I'm feeling a clean sheet. I'm straying from the 2-1.
Like it. Mike?
But I just,
Well, they only scored against Newcastle. Was it an own goal that they got against Newcastle? Yeah.
Yeah, Lascelles.
Yeah, Lascelles, yeah.
2-0 Leeds. It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be a Leeds win.
It'd be interesting.
We can only beat ourselves.
I'm going 2-0 as well, I think.
We can only
Do you know what? Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised with Fat Frank this weekend. He'll shit himself because they've got beat, and he'll start Ali and Van der Beek. Now,
I think that plays into our hands.
Now, exactly.
They are chasing us round.
Yeah. Now you're telling me that them two are fit enough to play against that Leeds side at minute after spending all season sat on bench. No, I don't think so.
No chance.
No.
They played 3 at back, and I think it's another perfect game to sort of start Dan James there up front. As much as I'd like to see Joffrey in, I think Dan James, put him on Michael Keane. He's giving him running around all day long.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then we need a game from Raf. It looked like he's played well against Everton last few times. If he shows up, and in a way, we kind of missed that magic from Raf last night. That might have been his winner. And if we get it at the weekend and he gets us the win, it's a good week in it. A draw away at Villa, a decent mid-table side, and a beat in Everton, who then will put 7 points between us. It's a perfect week.
Maybe against Digne, he struggled, but I fancy him against Target. Is it Target they got? Everton?
No, they got that Malinovsky.
Well, that's it. If they play the same they did, if they play, which I don't think they will, because it just doesn't make sense unless they're playing Holgate at left back. The way we're going to line up against them, but it's not going to be much different to where Newcastle did. I mean, who's going to mark Raphinha? Because obviously it'd be Holgate, who's sort of the left centre defender, or Townsend.
Yeah,
and you can't see Townsend sort of keeping up with him.
No.
He's good at crossing a ball, but his legs have gone.
Isham asked a question here, guys. If Firpo's back in this game, do you start him? Yes. Right, and I'll give some method to my madness. Click looked like you were badly injured last night. He was limping about quite badly, muscular. So I reckon the change for the weekend is Dallas goes into midfield, Click drops out, and Firpo starts at left back.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you bring Forshaw in though?
I was going to say you're not playing Forshaw.
I would. No. I'm not saying that this is the team I'd field, but this is what I think will happen. But yeah, I would bring Forshaw in for Cock.
I had a conversation with my mates actually, and about someone said if Firpo's fit, does Firpo come back in? And then the question was, and we've had this conversation before, what happens with Dallas? Because you have to play him because of what he's done, but where do you play him? And I do think, unless he's got, I know, I can't remember who said it, that Dallas plays on with Knox anyway. Unless there's a sort of valid reason that he cannot play, I'm quite thinking that maybe it's worth just putting Firpo on the bench, because Dallas is doing okay at left back. Yeah, I don't think he'll get many problems at the weekend that he can't deal with.
Yeah,
maybe bring Firpo back in, give him another week or so, because we've got that space to do that, and he can play against Scum.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at Everton's attacking right options, and there's that Seamus Coleman and some
he's a right back,
called
really,
Anthony Gordon. So
he's not too bad.
He's been playing well this year, though. To be fair, yeah, he has. Yeah,
I'm just looking and I'm thinking, okay, that's what our left back's going to have to deal with. So, but if we're on the front foot, do you say Yerry Mina's injured?
He came off injured.
He did go down, yeah.
Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. Marcelo's press conference at morning, so I'm sure there'll be some into that. But let's segue perfectly into this.
Shithouse of the week.
The shithouse of the week segment, the segment where we get to vent our spleen at someone who has pissed us off, or a group of people who's pissed us off this recent week. And this week's nominations are, I feel like I'm at the Brit Awards, Kurt Zuma for volleying a cat. No place for it in modern society to volley an innocent animal. You absolute fucking idiot. Shutting of the M42.
I've called my cat a dickhead a few times, but
I don't think it's that bothered, to be honest, about that. No. But if you stuck your size 10 in its ribs,
I'd never do that.
World. The shutting of the M42 cost me 20 minutes of sleep last night.
The traffic
putting that in there, the traffic people who just decide to shut roads. Wayne Rooney I bobbed Wayne Rooney in here for Studgate. Is everybody aware of what's gone off with Studgate?
So what about him changing his studs?
So the thick bastard has gone on a podcast or somewhere and basically openly admitted that he put basically sharper studs in to do somebody in a game. Like,
wow.
We know that these dark arts go on, and it was John Terry. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say it was John Terry.
Oh, right, yeah.
Should have sharpened him.
But don't be so stupid to come out and say it in the press.
Yeah,
you're gonna get chastised. You're gonna get pointed out. So stop being so stupid. And
but
then
isn't the reason he came up? I mean, I don't know whether it's included, but hasn't he just launched a fucking new film about his documentary film about his life?
Yeah,
that's why he's doing the rounds.
Is that where we've gone now? We've moved from books to films.
I won't
exactly.
And then the last nomination is the Liverpool Echo, and it pains me to put this one in there a little bit because there is a Leeds link to it. Everton, the Liverpool Echo, trying to dig up Spygate again and create a rhetoric around Fat Frank and Leeds United. And all I have to say on this is, move on, grow up, move on. Nothing happened in the first place. A man stood on a path. Frank exaggerated the truth and said that he had a gun or something along them lines.
No.
We got fined
you know what the
lots
headline?
of money.
You know what the headline is, isn't it? How Frank Lampard had the last laugh on Marcelo Bielsa.
Last laugh.
Last laugh.
Where did he have
So
the
not
last
only, but regardless of Lampard leaving Derby, the team that he took to the playoff final.
Did he do the shit on the changing room floor? Is that what
he then went to that stadium after being promoted, pissed, and beat them like a what? They had to guard of honor. Our Derby County had to guard of honor us out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Who had the last laugh? Because look at the fucking state of them now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And it's not about Lampard. It's a whole collective thing. Derby County's in that as well. But you could say it with Lampard as well. Who had the last laugh? Because he's going to get relegated with Everton.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But it still does. Why dig it back up? Like, it's
Why
so long,
dredge
it's
it
so
back
old
up,
news. And a little bit disappointed to see a Leeds journalist as well.
It's shit journalism, isn't it?
Sticking his bit into this. So we're going to stick them in there as well. So, lads, who do we think wins this week's Share So Week? Kurt Zuma for volleying his cat. The shooting of the M42 by the Traffic Wombles. Wayne Rooney for being stupid enough to admit to putting long studs in to do John Terry. Or the Liverpool Echo for trudging up Spygate to create some rhetoric around Marcelo Bielsa and Frank Lampard, where after a night of us playing Villa, you just see loads of neutral fans and pundits and managers saying, I love watching Leeds United, best team in Premier League. And then we see Frank crying because Dele Alli's knees are on backwards and he's paid him 200 grand a week. But we get into
got to go Zuma.
You've got to go Zuma.
There's no excuse for animal cruelty.
Just don't be a dickhead, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
What we should do is we should genetically mutate a cat to being like fucking 40 foot tall.
Lucas the Copcat.
And just stick Zuma in a cage with it and just let it like lace him for about a week. Zuma, congratulations.
Just set a tiger on him.
Just get a tiger.
Yeah, we could do, to be fair. We've got one of them things already, haven't we?
Yeah.
Mate,
Showout Life Park, lob him in there.
Yeah.
Mate, they are hench, aren't the tigers? They are scary animals, them. Like, you would not want a tiger on your case. Have you ever seen that footage of some like reserve in South Africa? And this guy like wanders into the cage and he's got tigers in there and he throws like some meat and casually turns around to like wander back out again. And this tiger just comes out of nowhere, grabs him and just fucks him up. Yeah. Just absolutely fucks him up. And you're like, wow, that's mate, it like grabs hold of him and just runs off with him like he's nothing, like he's absolutely nothing. And you just think, nah, fuck that.
Well, that's the thing with tigers. They won't mind me saying this, but they're very lazy. That's why they attack from the back. The kill bite is on the back.
Easy look, Steve Irwin.
So,
Mike, you're as animal man.
On a tiger, lads. Never turn your back on a tiger.
I don't plan on ever being anywhere near a tiger to let me turn my back.
If you do, always stare him down. That's what you do.
Mike, what are you more scared of, tigers or great white sharks? Because great white sharks terrify the fucking shit out of me.
Well, I can't. I actually can't swim. I'm a terrible swimmer.
So you drowned before the shark even got to you?
Sharks are just
easy food.
sharks are just ridiculous.
Scary, man.
Like a tiger, I'd fancy my chances more with a tiger. If I was in the ocean,
Right, let's set it up. White collar boxing, Mike versus a tiger.
Oh no!
There's
honestly,
no tigers or sharks in Leeds 12, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that? We've run off on a tangent here, but that's what we do.
I'm near
Have you ever
Castleford
seen that
Tigers.
footage of somebody jumping off a cliff in Australia with a GoPro, and he lands in water, and the GoPro like films in the water, and there's a fucking great white shark there.
Yeah.
It physically makes my balls retract inside my body, and I instantly turn back to being an 8-year-old when you used to run upstairs pretending that someone were chasing you.
Yeah.
Do you remember them days? That's what it does to me.
Well,
They scare the shit out of me. The sea. I'm scared of the sea, to be honest. I don't like the sea.
That's
The
why
sea scares me.
I get
That's
scared
why
of
it
little
hurt
fish
me.
going around my
Barnsley.
feet. So
yeah, there's
I always
deadlier
remember-
sharks. Though. There's deadlier sharks that actually do eat humans.
Yeah, bull sharks. They're pretty horrible
they're the
fuckers,
worst.
aren't they? But I always remember going on holiday to Magaluf.
welcome to Talking Shark.
Yeah, Talking Shark. I
Yeah.
remember going to Magaluf and like duck diving to get some damsel in distress's locker key that had sailed to the bottom at sea, and like I got down and then looked out into the darkness and shit myself, and then breached the water like some fucking shit whale, and then just splashed back in with snot all over my face, and then went to outside again.
Ridiculous.
Because there's sharks on the beach there. In Magaluf Beach.
Great white sharks in
There's some
Magaluf.
fucking sharks in Magaluf, I'm telling you. Anyway, on that note, that brings us to an end of episode 180 of the Talking Shutt podcast. Thanks very much for tuning in and joining us. It's been a real pleasure. Michael Bodnowski's just pointed out saying there's no tigers in Africa. Listen, he borrowed it from somewhere. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing.
I said let's go to Yorkshire Wildlife Park.
I'm going to say 20 years ago, people had been saying there's no tigers in Doncaster, but there is now. So anyway, welcome to episode. That's the end of episode 180. Thanks for everybody who has tuned in to our wildlife special. We'll see you next week. Are we back on Wednesday next week, lads? I've got another midweeker. When's Liverpool? Week after, innit?
Week after, yeah.
Week after, yeah. So a big thanks to everybody who has tuned in.
Back
and
at
one
Ossett
last
next
bit.
week.
Yeah, back at Ossett next week. And one little bit I did forget. Full credit to Leeds and Villa fans last night who clapped on the 11th minute for the young boy who sadly died following an asthma attack in the last round of Premier League games. He was a Villa fan. And had a little bit of a link to the show as well through a previous guest. So credit to them for that. And that brings us to an end anyway. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Terrace for continuing to sponsor us. And we'll see you next Wednesday back at
just before we go,
United.
this is a really good stat from John Smith. Diego Llorente's goal last night was the 18th left-footed goal for Leeds in the Premier League from this season's 27 goals overall. That's 67%. And it's currently the highest percentage of left-footed goals by a team in a single season in Premier League history.
All left foots, aren't we?
Great stats.
We need to score more goals. Just more goals.
Yeah. Good start. Strong start.
Yeah.
Nice one, John. Anyway, that brings us to an end. Thanks very much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a 5-star review on whatever you listen to us on. And thank you very much. I'll see you there.